Step on up, sit down, twist off that bottle top or crack open that can, and welcome to Porch Matters. This is Terry Cagle coming to you from my back porch. Yes, sir, yes, ma'am, the name of this show is authentic. On Porch Matters, our saying is this: big issues or just a friendly conversation. No topic is off limits. We take pride in being able to talk about anything with each other in an open discussion. Open discussion is one of the only ways to learn. Your perspective could be changed. You could change the perspective of others. Friends and family, welcome back to another episode of Porch Matters. I'm glad you're here. I don't know about you, but I've had just about enough of this winter. I ain't gonna lie. It is dadgum cold on this porch. If I was smarter, I would have recorded this opening during a day when it was warmer. Speaking of when it was warmer, on January 7th, Alabama Stackers here locally in Jasper, Alabama, had their grand opening. I decided I was going to go down and see what all the fuss was about. When I got there, the drive-thru line was completely backed up, which is definitely a good thing for them. So, I walked in to order. The building doesn't have any tables inside, but they do have an area outside where you can sit. The menu is nice and simple, just the way I like it. You can order a double cheeseburger and stack it all the way up to 4 patties. Patties are about the size of a steak and shakes patty. They put cheese on each patty and then put their stacker sauce on it and serve it on a sesame seed bun. Me being the fat boy that I am, I ordered the 4-stacker and an order of fries and paid $15 for it. Only critique I have about my experience was either they didn't clean the grill first or they didn't put down any oil because the patties were a little burnt on the outside. I chalked that up to the grand opening and them being so busy. Thought it was a little bit pricey too, but if you were to go to Burger King and order a triple Whopper combo, you'd pay the same thing. Alabama Stackers, you are definitely #fatboy approved, and I'll definitely be back. Coming up next is one of 2 conversations I was able to have while I was off for Christmas break. If you remember straight, the company that I work for is off for 2 weeks each year, once for 4th of July weekend and then once for that week between Christmas and New Year's. I was able to be a guest on Lindsay Rowland's Carry On podcast. If you haven't checked that out, please do so. She's a loyal supporter of me and this show, and I really would appreciate it if you'd support her. But on this episode, the members of the Central Alabama Paranormal Investigations team join me on the porch. We talk about the team's origins and what each team member's responsibilities are, and they also share with us a couple of stories. Without further ado, let's get started. Johnny Rushing, John Bowman, Beth Harris, Tom Harris, Central Alabama Paranormal Investigations. Welcome to the porch, y'all. How are you?
Fine.
Doing well. Thank you.
Doing well, thank you.
I appreciate y'all coming on to the show. I reached out to you and y'all were happy to come on, so I really appreciate that. Let's just jump right off into it. Johnny,
Sounds good.
How did your team become your team? Let's hear how everybody came together.
Well, what originally formed CAPI is I'd been a part of a couple of other teams in the past. I just kind of wanted to go off and do my own thing. So whenever I moved from Mississippi to Alabama, I decided I wanted to kind of get back into the paranormal a little harder. Kind of dwelled around with it for a few years, and then my son and I, when he was really little, formed CAPI, what it is today. We just kind of started out in Selma, Alabama, which is just chock full of history and hauntings, and developed a lot of the tours there and made a name for ourselves. Had to kind of cut through some red tape and get some people back on the good side of the paranormal because of past experiences there. But once we were able to do that, we formed CAPI into what it is today. And the CAPI team that I have now, I have to say, is probably the best CAPI team I've ever had in the long years that since we've been doing this. And I'll let the other ones tell how they kind of jumped on board.
Beth, Tom, let's go with you first. How did y'all get a part of the team?
Well, I answered a help wanted ad. They were they were looking for a what am I?
Well, we were actually looking for a PR person.
Oh, a PR person, right?
Yeah, that's what the help wanted ad was for, was PR. And you answered that. But then after we got to know you and everything, we said this lady would be an awesome case manager.
Right. That was it. Yeah. So anyway, I started out as their case manager, but they can't keep me away from the investigations. I want to be at every one of them.
I started out as just her taxi, so to speak, just to get her to and from. I really didn't think I had an interest in it until I got there and to a couple of them. And the more they talked and the more I heard them all talk afterward, the things they discovered and saw and learned, I just got more and more intrigued. So eventually I naturally just kind of stepped.
Investigation time would come to, I would tell Beth, I would say, hey, tell your husband to come on in. Oh, no, he don't want anything to do with this. He don't know. No.
Right. And it wasn't that I didn't believe in it. It wasn't my thing at the time. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It just took a little time to kind of get me, okay, what is this? I was more wanting to learn what it was before I stepped off into it, if that makes sense.
Makes perfect sense.
I liked what I saw, and then it just kind of evolved from there.
And now we have one of the best equipment managers we've ever had.
Yeah, that's kind of my role now, because I do still get in on the investigations, but I'm more of a guy who sits behind the monitors and watches everything. And I just kind of yell at them when I see things and stuff that doesn't look right. Or we carry anywhere from 8 to 10 cameras with us when we go, and we record most of the night. And so there's got to be somebody to kind of sit and watch all that. And that's kind of become my role.
Okay. John, how did you get involved with the team, sir? And what is your role?
I'm the team manager. I was always the kind of strange kid, into, UFOs and conspiracy theories and all that kind of thing. And I had always been a big fan of, the X-Files and stuff like that. And I would, after my dad passed away a few years back, started looking for an actual team to get involved with. Had some questions I wanted answers to. Found Johnny on a local radio station, then started checking out his YouTube. Ended up stumping him on a question and winning the chance to take the Paranormal 101 class. Part of the class is you get to go on an investigation. After that, I kind of hoped that maybe I made the grade. And then he invited me to join the team and become the team manager.
Each one of you said some things and got my brain going. So I'm going to start right back with Johnny. Since you're the team leader, how long have you been involved in paranormal investigations, and what got you first into it?
Well, I had an experience whenever I was really young. When I was around 8 years old, that kind of got me interested in into the paranormal. And I started kind of studying it a little bit, and I was always that kid that had to find the logic behind everything. Get a new toy, I'd have to take it apart and figure it out. So whenever I got into paranormal, it just kind of sprung big to me, and I went a long way with it. And then around 16, I started studying it, kind of bounced around from a couple of teams. And then whenever I started studying the parapsychology, I got in with a really good team. And then, like I said earlier, I started my own team about 15, 16 years ago. So I've been doing it I'm 51 now, and I started when I was 8. So that's how long I've been doing.
Beth, Tom, what was it exactly that, other than answering the help wanted ad, as you talked about, what was it that really intrigued you about the paranormal, and what led you to be a big part of the team?
I had a mother who was a good bit, she had a lot of Indian in her, a lot of Native American in her, and could see family members who had passed on. And it always intrigued me how she could tell these wonderful stories of how she had seen this particular entity and that it was her mother. And I mean, she talked to her mother, and her mother told her this. And then she would wake up, and my brother would be standing next to her going, well, hey, big mama, like, he had seen her too, which was just really cool. But yet I never have experienced anything like that in my life. But always been interested in the paranormal just because of that. After I took the Paranormal 101 class, I was ready to start investigating. Could not wait.
What about you, Tom?
Well, like I said before, I started out more or less just kind of being there, not necessarily to go on investigations, but it didn't take but a very short time, and I started seeing a lot of people around us, because we would sometimes meet up with other groups and go on a group thing, other paranormal groups.
Right.
And so start hearing people talk about things they experienced and things they saw and things they felt. And my natural, I'm like Johnny to a degree. I want to know what make things tick and how they, come together and that type of stuff. So I just wanted to experience it for myself. I started going on them, started going in. I learned, took the class, and the class kind of helped me to understand what to look for and what's Hollywood and what's not, and that kind of stuff. And when you break all that out of it, it's a lot more interesting to me. You know what I'm saying? It's an actual science. And you're looking at something for me, I'm not a skeptic, but I'm a show me, type person.
I'm the same way.
Right. And so that just led to more understanding of what I was looking at and why I'm looking at it, why it does what it does and doesn't do, because Johnny's an excellent teacher, and he's taught all of us a lot of good skills.
He truly has.
It truly has, that we didn't know we had. We didn't know that we had the ability to do those kind of things, and not anything supernatural, but just to open our mind up to some of the things he's kind of shown us and that type of stuff. And so it was from that just kind of grew into me doing mostly now the video stuff, because I know what to look for, because he's kind of shown me, and John too as well. John has helped me a ton, and both of them just kind of show you what to look for and what it is and what it's not, and that kind of stuff. And the one thing I was always great about is, no matter what piece of evidence you discovered or you thought you discovered, the very first thing that was done was to debunk it, was to try to debunk it. No one went crazy and went, "Oh man, look what we have." It's like, wait a minute, let's figure out how this happened. And I knew then I was with the right group of people, because they're not just out there looking at things like, what can we collect? They're trying to find hard proof and stay with it, to show it to other people, to make sure that it's hard proof and not something we missed. We scrutinize everything we do way more than anyone outside.
John, what about you?
Like I said, I've always been a big fan of big interest into paranormal things like aliens and stuff like that. From a young age, I was always the kind of kid that watched all the horror movies and stuff. Coming from a very religious Southern Baptist background, it wasn't exactly my parents were exactly happy about it. Strange thing is, when a while after when I finally got up the nerve to tell my mom that I was doing this, she was like, "Yeah, I had a feeling you'd get into something like this." I was like, "What?" She's like, "Yeah, when you were younger, you were telling me that you saw these big shadow monsters, and like I've been homeschooled my entire life. My mom always kept all my art and stuff like that, and she showed me pictures that I'd drawn of these things that she said that I would come to her and tell her I saw, and ever since then it's been it's been a wild ride. Johnny, like they've said, he's an excellent teacher. He breaks things down into simple terms so that everyone can understand it. He explains to you what's real, what's not.
That's only because I'm simple-minded.
That simple-minded people is usually your best teachers. Anyway, please continue, John.
Oh, well, I mean, it's being able to tell the difference between what's an orb and what's dust and what's a bug and that kind of thing. I mean, something simple as that.
Right.
You really kind of when you learn that kind of thing and you're able to explain it to other people. Oh, look what I found. Yeah, that's a smudge on the lens of your camera. I used to work for Fujifilm, and so it's one of these. I know a good bit about what are artifacts from a lens or a hair in front of the lens versus something that's not. But yeah, get back to your. Sorry, I have I can get off on bunny trails very easily. But yeah,
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
The paranormal, like I said, has always been fascinating to me, and I don't really have any formal experience other than working with the team. But I mean, you learn a lot when you're with new people.
Johnny, everybody has mentioned a paranormal class. I can't help but ask. I'm not asking you to give anything away necessarily, but what all does this class entail?
Well, I kind of want to go into what started it, and then I'll tell you exactly what it is.
By all means.
One of the reasons why I wanted to start my own team, like I said, I was with some very good teams in the past, throughout the Southeast, but one of the reasons why I wanted to start my own team is because there was so much hoopla out there about the paranormal and, stuff, and just silly stuff like burning sage and coffin nails and graveyard dirt and all this Ouija boards and dowsing rods and all this stuff that just flat out does not work. It has no business in the paranormal whatsoever. And so I wanted to kind of show a way. We started doing the training whenever we'd get a new investigator on the team. We started doing the training with them, either with a mock investigation or a real investigation on availability. Someone, I don't even remember who it was, said, why don't we just, have like a class for the new people when they come in? And that way you can teach them what you do and how you do it and what is expected and all that. And so it just kind of, I sat down at the computer one night, and about 15 hours later, I jotted out this class, and it's been changed over the, I don't think it's ever been changed as much as it has been since John joined the team. John has tweaked that class so much. He's such an amazing mind. He really is. But it's basically, we put it together so that we could get rid of the Hollywood and the television and the mass media crap out there about the paranormal and put the real paranormal out there. And that's why we do everything we do. That's why we have a YouTube channel that we do every week. That's why we do the class. That's why we do events. That's everything that we do, aside from investigating, is so that we can get the real paranormal out there, that so people can see what it really is. I don't know how many times I've had people come up and say, I don't know how you do what you do. It would scare the devil out of me. There's no way I could do that. And then I invite them on an investigation, and they're like, oh, this is awesome. This is great. Once you take Hollywood out of it and all the wives' tales and all that and folklore, it becomes the real paranormal, and it's awesome. And that's why we started the class. And it basically goes through the ins and outs of what we do in the paranormal. We teach how to think about safety first. We teach about the different types of hauntings, taking all of the myth and folklore out of it, and how to investigate. And then we also break down each piece of equipment and show how it's used. And the equipment part about it is probably one of my favorite parts about the class, because we show people that pretty much any piece of equipment that we have is not actually made for paranormal investigating. It's made for something else, but it just works. And that pretty much anything out there that does say it's made for paranormal investigating turn out not to be anything good that we can use. So that's basically why we started the class and what it contains.
Okay, well, what's the difference between the Hollywood and the real thing?
Miles.
Yeah, truth. That's a big thing. It's like I was saying earlier, where, Hollywood, you're talking about black cats, Ouija boards, witches and ghouls and goblins and burning sage and just, stuff like that. It just has no place in the paranormal. It has no effect in the paranormal. And it's just changing. If I had to put in one phrase the difference between the real paranormal and Hollywood, I would have to just say common sense. 100%. It's just common sense. If you're in my house or I'm in your house and you want me to leave, you lighting up sage, other than the horrible smell of it, is not going to make me leave. And when we die, we don't lose anything and we don't gain anything. The only thing we lose is this meat suit that we're walking around in. So why are you burning a piece of sage going to make me leave your house? You're going to need the shotgun or your own muscles for that. And sage isn't going to do it. So when I'm dead, it's the same thing. I always imagine there's a ghost in the corner laughing their butt off at somebody when they're walking through with sage burning, or swinging a necklace with coffin nails or graveyard dirt vials or something like that. It's just silly.
How long has this incarnation of the team been together?
Oh, boy. John? Radar?
Well, I've been with the team for about 4 years, roughly.
Yeah, about right. And I think Beth came in right after you.
Yep.
Yes.
It was maybe a couple months.
Yeah.
Right.
So we're going on about our 4th year with this current team.
Right. Of course, we have all of the other team members as well. We've got
Right. Yeah.
We have 4 more team members that are not here with us tonight.
You got a pretty big team.
Yeah. It's not as big as it used to be. We had somewhere in the neighborhood of 25 to 30, and that just logistically got to be a nightmare. So
I can only imagine.
Yeah, it was horrible.
Where exactly is your range? Where's your home base, and how far up do you go?
Technically, we're in Millbrook, Alabama. That's where we're based out of, but we really don't have a home base per se, because John's in McCalla, Beth and them are in Childersburg. We have a team in Pell City, some in Alabaster. So we really don't have a home base. Basically, it's just, but I'm in Millbrook, and that's just kind of where we based Millbrook or CAPI out of. And our range is as far as you can go. We're hopefully we're still planning a trip to the UK. So there's nowhere we won't go.
Nice. Each one of you. I'll just start with Johnny. Which investigation has been your most interesting that you can share?
Oh my goodness. I guess, they used to say it's not an official investigation unless Johnny gets hurt, because I'm such a klutz. I guess the farmhouse in Laurel, Mississippi was pretty good. I was walking down there was a shotgun house, and I was walking down a hallway, and I told the entity, we had been there for several hours and had gotten into provoking a little bit. So I told the entity that if it was man enough, it could throw a pitcher at me. And then later on, coming back up that same hallway, I was walking, and the pitcher come off the wall and hit me in the head and slit my chin open. I had to get 18 stitches in my chin. That was a pretty interesting one. I think Cahaba, we used to be the resident paranormal team for the Cahaba City, the first capital of Alabama, and we did a lot of investigating there, and even developed the haunted tours they do there every year. And we used to be in the slave quarters there at the Opeguese house, and we never went there and didn't get evidence. I mean, it was an amazing place to be. That was pretty interesting. The city of Wetumpka was pretty good too. We labeled that as the most haunted in Alabama, because every building and every house we went to, we got evidence from. There's just been so many over the years.
Is it just because of the evidence, or is it due to the history of the town, or
Both.
Combination of both?
Yeah, a combination. Wetumpka was formed from a crater impact. The entire town was formed from a crater impact, and I think the energy that left just kind of golden gated. If you believe in portals, which I don't, but I think that was a nice setting for the entities that are there.
Okay. John, what about you? What was your most interesting case that you've worked on?
My very first investigation was at a law firm in Montgomery, Alabama. Every single time we go back to that location, I always get something new. That's got to be my number one, to be honest.
Beth, what about you?
Yeah.
What's your most interesting investigation?
I would have to say Moulton, Alabama, private residence. It was actually the first time that I'd ever been touched by something, and also heard listened through evidence later, disembodied footsteps, which were pretty cool. But that's me.
Disembodied footsteps?
Footsteps when there was no one in the house.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about you, Tom?
Well, mine's I've got a tie for that. And ironically, they're both in Montgomery. One's in a private residence, and the other's at the law firm that John spoke of earlier. My first piece of evidence that I collected was a photograph of an orb, but with a tail moving down a staircase. And this was with a still shot camera at the law firm. That's why I say that's my one. The other one was at a private residence, and I experienced a temperature drop just in my area, which was verified by Johnny with a temperature gun of 15 degrees from 5 feet away from me. So that was kind of cool. So those are my two favorites.
You mentioned a while ago about the equipment. What all types of equipment do you use, Johnny?
We have DVR cameras that we use that are night vision, and we have a DVR system that Tom has that is amazing, that allows us to record and play back and still record while we're playing back, and it's just an amazing system. That's probably one of my favorite pieces of equipment that we have. We also have K2 meters, digital recorders, still shot cameras, video cameras, motion detectors. I'm sure I'm forgetting something.
Grid.
Laser grid.
Laser grid. Yeah. Laser grid. That's it.
Lots of digital recording.
Yeah. A lot of digital recording.
Okay. And do y'all ever get up to Walker County any? Have you done any investigations in Walker County? Jasper area?
I have years ago, but my neck isn't quite red enough yet to get to Walker County. My family's from Walker County, so I can say that.
born and raised here in Walker County.
Was you really?
Currently living in Walker County, actually. Yeah. I don't know, buddy. If you said you came from Mississippi, it ought to be pretty red.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Are you in Jasper, Terry?
I am in a little community called Dilworth. It sits right in between. It sits right in between Summerton and Sipsey. We're not Empire. We're Dilworth.
Yeah, I know where that's at. My family was a Kilgore family up there.
I believe
big Kilgore family there.
Okay.
Before the pandemic, didn't we have one scheduled for Walker County that canceled?
Yes, we did.
I think we did.
Yeah.
I remember it was either something. I think it was something.
I can't
remember, but we did have one that canceled there because of the pandemic, and they've never come back to us. So
okay.
Yeah.
We have a standing policy with CAPI is if you get us an investigation, you're automatically invited to go on it with us.
I will
keep that in mind, Terry.
I will definitely keep that in mind, and I'm going to keep my ears and eyes open, see if I can find something for you, because you've got me interested. I'd like to go on an investigation with you.
Terry, can I do a shameful plug?
I was fixing to lead you right into it, my friend. Go right ahead.
I want to invite everybody to join us every Sunday night at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time for our YouTube CAPI Live. We talk all things paranormal. We have a huge standing on there, and everyone there is called our family. That's what we have as family. We don't have fans or anything like that. But it's CAPI Paranormal on YouTube, and it's every Sunday night, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Guys, thank you, and ladies. I'm sorry, I wasn't trying to leave you out, but
I'm just one of the guys. Trust me.
I appreciate your time, and I thank you very much for coming onto the show. Feel free to plug anything else. Any kind of social, anything else?
Yeah. Check out our website. It's CAPIParanormal.com, CAPI Paranormal.com. It's an amazing website developed by Beth. Definitely check that out. You get to meet the team, and we do vetted equipment on there, as well as a book club, and it's a really awesome website. So you guys check that out for us too.
Will do. Central Alabama Paranormal Investigations. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Big thanks to all the members of Central Alabama Paranormal Investigations for coming onto the porch. Find CAPI on YouTube at CAPI Paranormal. Just a side note, the team was nice enough to invite me to go on an investigation with them in March. I'm really looking forward to it, and you'll be hearing more about it soon. If you are new to the show and like what you hear, hit that like, subscribe, or follow button and download the episodes in our archives. If this show has been a positive addition to your life, please rate the show and leave a review. Won't take you but a minute, and it really would help the show. Find us on social media by typing Porch Matters Podcast into the search bar. Word of mouth is still the best way of sharing. Pick your favorite episode and share it with at least one person this week. There are a lot of people out there that have never heard of a podcast before. I sure would appreciate it, and I'll see you next time right here on Porch Matters.